I guess I'm going to say yo. Yo, this is Trav, and it's with our new podcast. If you're not aware of it, you're going to be aware of it right now. We're going to have the Sports Bag Bros podcast. This is the number one edition, the first edition of the Sports Bag Brothers podcast. So you can check it out. We're going to try to do this thing 4 days a week from Monday through Thursday. When we go live, we may do it at 9 o'clock Eastern time. We may do it at 10 o'clock Eastern time. But either way, I'm Trav. That's Bias. If you saw the thumbnail, you know what it's about. If you've watched this before, talking boxing exclusively, you saw that as well. This show is going to be all about sports. So if
anything goes,
you're a sports fan of any kind, join the conversation. We're going to get into a lot of the sports talk, no matter what it is, whether it's controversial, which most sports seems to be these days, or whether it's just your traditional sports. We're going to get at you with it anytime you want to have it. This show being the first show, we're going to get into the NBA. We're going to get straight to it. No intro, no nothing. The NBA. But before I do that, Bias, give a little intro about what you're bringing to the table as well as myself.
Well, I've just been a sports fan since I was a little kid. My dad exposed me to sports. I come home from playing all day, and he'd have, depending on what season it was, a baseball game, basketball game. My uncles and my dad, they would have fight parties. So I'd be the only 6 or 7-year-old kid in the room watching boxing. I just always followed my dad. He taught me how to play catch and, exposed me to sports. And I caught the bug. Growing up, I played baseball, basketball, and football. Never boxed, but I always boxed. I always watched boxing. So
yeah,
I have extensive information going back many years.
Yeah, you covered boxing in one capacity. You've watched a lot of boxing, as you said, but your name Bias. When I first met you years ago, when we were in a boxing chat and we became cool from then on, it was a long time ago, man. Facebook brought us together. Social media is what brought us together after all of these years.
Right.
Bias is your name. I thought it was because when you first made a comment in one of those rooms, in that room, I'm thinking that you're going to say something that your little shtick was, you're going to be something that's going to be kind of biased. And it's something completely different. It had nothing to do with the word bias. First of all, you're in the Chicago area and you're an ACC fan. And not only if you're an ACC fan, it's not even North Carolina. It's the other team.
Right. Well, growing up, I grew up with ESPN. When ESPN started showing games on my TV, it was Notre Dame and DePaul and IU and Purdue. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And ESPN came along, and they're showing games from all over the nation. And as you know, ACC has always had great athletes, great players,
Absolutely.
Great teams. And I just fell in love with NC State. But watching a lot of ACC games, my favorite player was Lenny Bias. And I had a friend, he liked St. John's. And I was 5'10", he was 6'5". So he would back me down and turn the shoe and say Walter Berry. So whenever I scored, I would say Bias scores. And another friend of ours, he heard me say Bias scores so much, he started calling me Bias. So that's how I got the name Bias.
Yeah, and of everybody who follows basketball or even new sports, and you're old enough to know it at least, you know what the Len Bias story was all about. An absolutely excellent player, a tragic ending to that excellent player's potential career. The comparisons now are just, I don't know, just one of these little theories now. He was better than Jordan. We will never know, but he was that kind of an athlete when he was playing. But with all of that said, we need to get into this show right here because the NBA Finals is now etched in stone. We know who the two combatants in that game is going to be. And we know it's the Denver Nuggets will be at home playing the Miami Heat after the Miami Heat were up 3-0 and then had to bite their nails on the road against a team that only lost 9 games at home this past season. And they were able to handle the Celtics with no real problem. What's up with that?
Yeah, the funny thing about that game last night was no matter who lost, who won, the losing team was going to be considered a choker.
Yeah.
The Heat for blowing 4 games in a row, and the Celtics for blowing Game 7 at home, and for blowing Game 1, 2, and 3 when they have the more talent and they're supposed to be the better team. Tatum getting injured, that obviously twisting his ankle that obviously uh, made an impact on the game. He wasn't able to do his usual thing. But who else? Nobody else stepped up to help him out, you
Yeah,
know?
and that's true.
And nobody showed up. They all choked.
I thought for a fact that Boston, I'm not a Boston fan by a long shot. I'm a native New Yorker living in Florida, so I'm never going to be a Boston anything fan, let alone Boston Celtics. I thought they were going to win this game. I thought, yeah, they did lose the first two games at home, which they should have. I think most people, going by the number that was on in Vegas too, I think it was 6.5 or 7.5.
So
They
7.5.
weren't, yeah, they weren't expected to lose. So, people can say, yeah, I got them, but chances are they weren't expected to lose. And they went into this game. They played tough in the early going, but then Miami just kept coming and coming and coming. Then the margins just kept going up higher, higher, higher. And before you know it, it seemed like, Boston was playing catch up for the rest of the game. And the audience didn't matter. The crowd noise, the home court advantage didn't matter. Then the injury. This is basketball, and this is championship basketball because it gives you the right to go to the finals. Injuries happen. Bro, you got to do something about it. I know you don't want guys to get hurt because of injury, but this is the type of thing that you kind of worry about the injury after the business is handled. But as you said, no one helped them out.
Yeah, and Jimmy twisted his ankle also, but Jimmy had help from Caleb Martin. I mean, he probably was the star of the game yesterday.
Yeah, he was.
Who had Caleb Martin going for 25 or 27, whatever he had, that he stepped up big time.
And that's what you're going to need. I mean, you need those types of players, role players, or guys who are not even role players. They just happen to help out the star because Jimmy, the way he's played in these playoffs, he's a superstar. And going back to the bubble, he was a superstar then, an absolute dog. He's one of those few guys that if you wanted to say if an athlete can be in another sport, he can be a boxer, I think, because he has that dog in him. He has the Bud Crawford dog. We'll get around to that too later on in this show. But he has that dog in him to where if he's the only one out there, he's willing to go out there until his team either catches up or he's going to be the reason why his team wins or even the reason why his team loses. But he's not going to go down with a whimper. And he was there yesterday, but all of the other games in which he played, he was obviously the lead dog. He is the number one guy. And they did it without Tyler Hero. So that's another story. Now, does Tyler Hero add something or does he even take something away? I mean, we can look at it now, but would he have taken something away if he was there, or would they have been even better and they probably would have sealed it in 4 games?
With his shooting, I mean, he would at least be able to space the floor.
Yeah.
The threat of his shooting, actually. Is he going to be in game shape? What's his endurance going to be like? They're going to limit his minutes. They have to work him back in and see how it goes. If he comes back. I heard maybe game 3 or 4.
Really? I mean, I didn't know whether he was coming back at all, but I think he does add something. But at the same time, typically when players are out for this long, there's an issue when they come back. They're rusty. And speaking of rusty, we're going to go talk about the other team that's going to be in these finals as well, which is Denver. It'll be around 10 days they haven't played since their last game until the day of the championship game on Thursday. So they may be a little rusty. Ultimately, they'll get it together by the second half, but you better hope you're not in too deep of a hole to where you're trying to play comeback.
Right. But normally, I believe in like a game 7 hangover. It's hard to get up for game 1 after you fought for 7 straight games to move on to the next round, right? But not playing the game for over a week, you're not going to come out firing on all cylinders either. Nope. So who's going to come out, make the right adjustments and, get into the rhythm first, probably wins game 1.
And luckily for Denver, they do have a guy like Jokic on their team. And he's a guy, and I remember there was a conversation in an insult session that we will talk about later on with Kwame Brown. When he was talking about Shannon Sharp, Kwame Brown made an excellent point about the kind of play that Jokic has. He has a low energy game, but he has so much talent in terms of what he does that he can play until he's 50 because he doesn't use a lot of energy. You know what I mean?
Looks like he's in slow motion, but you can't.
You can't stop him. He's in slow motion. You can't stop him, and he's still energized. His transition and fast break is a trot down the court. And he just makes plays happen. And so, but the point was that Jokic, his game is based on timing. He doesn't have to be everywhere, even though they put him on the perimeter to defend sometimes. But
Right.
yeah, that's gonna be another story for. Well, since we're doing this 4 days a week, we started with 3 days this week because Memorial Day was just yesterday. We'll get a chance to talk about these games as they're being played. But yeah, man.
One thing about Game 7 hangover, that probably is not going to apply to Miami Heat because, as you mentioned, Jimmy has that dog in him.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy's focused every game. Like it's like Game 7 every night for Jimmy. And it's funny, people are saying Jordan's his dad, and this happened to him when he was a kid. Jordan didn't want nothing to do with him. I don't know about all those conspiracy theories, but I don't know where he gets it from, but Jimmy does have that dog in him.
Yeah, he does have that dog in him, and he'll have an opportunity because they did go up there to Boston and took defeat, took a victory from the jaws of defeat because they didn't start off hot. They eventually got it together and won in an environment like that. But Denver poses more of a threat because they have bigger guys, longer guys, not as athletic, but they just execute well for what they're doing. And more importantly, they're in Denver. That's still the mile-high city. That's not just the athletes you have to deal with and contend with. You're talking about the altitude as well. That's a huge advantage.
Yeah, and Denver has more talent than Boston. If you at least shoot, they have Murray, they have KCP, they have Michael Porter Jr. All those guys can possibly go for 5 threes in a game, And when you have that type of shooting, it opens things up on the inside. That's where Jokic does his work.
Yep, Jokic does his work, gets his triple doubles. He does seem so unassuming while he's doing it. I mean, I forgot which game it was. He didn't score
with 10 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah, he comes there with 4 fouls. You know what I mean? They do have 4 fouls, and they put him back in. I thought they were going to put him back like toward the end. He goes in there, and they can't get him to foul, and he just ends up getting 24 points, which is just a half a point short of what he does for the season on his average. But as we were talking about that, we were talking about how I was talking about at least how Kwame Brown, he had this little thing that he has going on with Shannon Sharp. And we got a clip of that. We want to be able to kind of not react to it, but kind of react to it, kind of ridicule whoever's getting dissed and how many points are being made. But I think he also made some good points overall because he did talk about LeBron like everyone does eventually. But he actually made a case while talking about Shannon Sharp, about LeBron James. I've always thought that MJ and LeBron were kind of equals. And, I adjust for inflation because of the times. I always say that, one is not much greater than the other if one is indeed greater than the other. Jordan's not that much greater than LeBron, and if you believe in LeBron, you don't believe LeBron is that much greater than Jordan. After what Kwame Brown had to say, I'm now officially just MJ, no one else. I mean, I don't usually change my mind, and I've been on this, not even a bandwagon. I just thought it was a conscious decision to say that, but he made
I missed what Kwame said about MJ. I did hear or see his comments about Shannon Sharp, and I mean, I just laughed,
What we're gonna do right now, we'll go to that video,
and
we'll hush him up real quick. But we'll go to this video. We'll start from the beginning, and we'll just take a look at what Kwame was saying. And I'll stop and pause on occasion so we can at least comment or just let some of what he said sink in. For the sake of, it's a 30-minute clip. We're not going to play the entire 30 minutes. I think there were some good nuggets throughout the entire clip that we can talk about. And let's listen in.
Shannon Sharp.
Oh, by the way, this guy is just filthy. And I'm talking about a filthy potty mouth. So it's not us. We get struck for this kind of thing. It's Kwame's fault. And I did speak to him before. And he didn't have a potty mouth then, but he's going to have one now. So let's go forward with it.
Hey, Shannon, have you lost your God-loving mind, boy? You a guest in the house of this basketball talk. Didn't you know that? And now, since you don't want to act like a guest in this shit, and you want to invalidate me, you football-playing dummy. Nigga, it ain't no first downs in basketball, clown. How you going to try to invalidate a man who was the #1 draft pick, boy? You want to try to put some bass in your voice when you talking to me? When you on a panel with a nigga that buckled you down, boy? You on a panel with a white boy that blamed his coach for not making it to college, and you want to try to invalidate me, nigga? Are you a clown or what? I'm so glad that you just exposed yourself, you clown. You think you gonna put some bass in your voice when you talking to me, nigga? And that white boy made you say, I'm just trying to let me finish. Let me finish. You a guest in this house of basketball, nigga. Ain't no first downs in motherfucking basketball, you big, tall, thick-tongued punk motherfucker. You a thick-tongued idiot. Did you not know that? Ain't no first downs in basketball, boy.
We call him tall, though. He's taller than Shannon.
I don't know what make you think that your opinion on basketball is more than mine because you a fanboy for LeBron. You call me emotional and you was finna fight a whole goddamn Memphis Grizzly team because of your love affair, LeBron. You the reason why John Morant probably carrying guns right now. John Morant was like, oh shit, a big ass nigga in a sweater, a grandmama sweater, trying to fight his daddy and the whole damn team. You the reason why. I think John Morant ain't trying to be no thug. He carrying guns everywhere because he's scared of goddamn Shannon Sharp fanboy ass. John Morant, put them guns down, boy. Get you some of this tactical shit right here. Get you some of this right here for a big, thick tongue pump. Do what you need. Spray that big, thick tongue motherfucker in the eye. You fanboy and calling somebody emotional and you about to fight a whole damn team about LeBron. You supposed to be a damn analyst, not a fanboy. You ain't nothing but a fucking fanboy. You done lost your goddamn mind. That motherfucking testosterone must have hit you too goddamn deep this morning, boy. I didn't say nothing about LeBron's legacy. I said he didn't learn how to get to a damn spot. And now you want to get mad and you want to invalidate a whole man about his opinion because you a fucking fanboy? You better not run your big breeder looking ass up on me because I got something for ya, you little fucking fanboy. You done scared John Morant into carrying guns every damn way, huh? Allegedly, I think I snapped because you a fucking fanboy. You on the damn panel, you, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, none of you motherfuckers played basketball, but you want to say that I can't talk basketball because I wasn't good? That's what you say? Well, motherfucker, I'm better than all you some bitches. That busts your whole point right there, dummy. Nigga, you lucky you can catch a goddamn football. Back in the day, a big, ugly motherfucker like you with a thick tongue and a stutter like you got, only thing a nigga like you was good for is fighting or fucking. Motherfucker used to breed a ugly motherfucker like you. See, I know you punch like a mule kick, but you better not run your ugly ass up on me about no goddamn LeBron. Ugly motherfucker, you. You want to invalidate a man's career because I said that LeBron James, and I'm a professional athlete, motherfucker, that made it to the highest level. You football playing dummy. How the fuck are you going to invalidate my words when you sitting on a goddamn panel with a nigga that blamed his coach for not getting a scholarship? A Dracula-faced motherfucker that blamed his coach for why he didn't get a scholarship. You played football and you want to invalidate me because you want to protect this bullshit ass lie. At the tape. Kobe Bryant played him 1-on-1. And if you go look at the tape, I did really goddamn good until that boy started doing triple and double and triple and double moves. And that's how I know he liked that. That's how I know he was like that. See, when you play this sport, you don't just talk about it. You don't just admire people. I wasn't that guy. I want to see what you got. And these two gentlemen that I spoke of, they have everything in their arsenal that LeBron James does not have.
And I'll stop it right there because I think I might have missed it because I fast forwarded a little bit. But he was talking about getting to a spot on the court. And that's pretty much what this whole argument started when he said in the beginning that he was trying to get to a spot LeBron doesn't get to a spot on the court and do his signature move or something like that. You know, MJ had a signature moves, plural. As he said, Kobe just doing doubles and triples. Kobe had signature moves. He could find a spot on the court where he could use his move or he could make his move, and it was going to be successful more times than not at clutch moments. LeBron doesn't have that. And the gist of a lot of what he's saying on here is about how LeBron James decided to bowl over Steph Curry, little Steph Curry, to try to draw a foul, looking for the refs to bail him out, to give him points at the free throw line. And he makes a lot of sense there, man.
Yeah, I can see it. And like you mentioned, he makes a lot of valid points. You can't invalidate him by saying he wasn't very good and you never played at the same level he did. If you're dissing him for not being very good or for being a bust, then you can be a bust and still know the game of basketball. You can still have a strong opinion and knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
Just as you can be an analyst that never played in the NBA and have a strong knowledge of the game. But if you're going to discredit somebody for being a bust and you never played in the league, well, then you discredit yourself also.
Exactly. But you look at some of these athletes, especially today or even before, they believe because they were a star player, because Shannon is a Hall of Famer playing football, they believe they can speak on anything. I mean, we have Steven Jackson talking boxing like he's Jim Lampley these days.
Yeah.
But he's going to the gym. He's putting in work, though.
They had him on Showtime. I'm like, what's Steven Jackson doing here, man? Come on.
Exactly. But you know what, though? Steven Jackson's going to the gym. He's doing the mid work. He's putting in some work. You know what I mean? He's not going to get in the ring. Maybe he, you know what?
I saw him throw a couple punches in Detroit once.
You know, he grew up like that, though. You know what I mean? He grew up in that type of environment. So, I mean, you know what? But the bottom line is, get back to the original point of Kwame Brown should not, you know, you should not dismiss him because he didn't have the NBA career that you thought he would have. Obviously, an NBA team or teams thought that he was worth something because he had a 13-year NBA career.
Right.
You know what I mean? If
you want to discredit what he says, then talk about how he's wrong. But don't just say, oh, he's a bust. He don't know what he's talking about.
And that's what Shannon Sharp does. I think it's like almost the equivalent of getting clicks on a viral moment. You know, you're just saying these types of things and hoping he doesn't come at you. After this time and the way that Kwame went after Stephen A. Smith, I mean, come on, Shannon should have known that he was going to get it. And the fact is that I don't think he even responded as of yet. I think his producers or the executives probably told him not to because it's going to do nothing make it worse. I mean, you know, they don't want to, you know, feed it because Kwame just don't give. Well, let me see, 1, 2, 3. He don't give 1, 2, 3, 4. Any of them. He has no fucks to give.
The only thing I'll say is that don't tell somebody don't walk up on me and then show them a can of mace. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, but it's all within his right that if someone did walk up on him, he felt threatened, he could spray
he didn't have to take it there if he was going to pull out a can of mace. He didn't have to say, don't walk up on me, don't come see me, because I got this. Where's the camera? Because I got this, a can of mace.
Yeah.
I would not have said that.
Well, you know, if there's something going to come out of this, ultimately it's going to come out of it, man. I think it's a bunch of back and forth. If these two ever saw each other, there might be a little barking and this and that, but there will be people to break it up. Let's get back a little bit to that. Let's see.
They would have drove to a spot and rose up and shot the ball like the person wasn't even there. It's documented facts. Y'all want to bring up stats. How many times have LeBron scored this? How many times? I wasn't talking about how many times. I was talking about that fucking time. Y'all always want to goddamn whine and cry about LeBron every 2 seconds. This is why everybody know that what y'all are saying is bullshit. Because it's my fucking opinion. You guys did a take over a man's opinion that y'all call a bust. And then you had to take away from that man, invalidate a whole man. Because I said LeBron didn't get to a spot. And I said Jokic, or however you say his name, can play till he's 50 because he uses a skill set that don't require much energy. I said he does little floaters. I said, where is LeBron's little floater? He doesn't have one. Where is his go-to move when it's game time? He doesn't have one. That was a sickening thing to see him get the ball at the free throw line and bull over Steph Curry like that with no call. People who really love basketball don't think that's real basketball. To have a 6'8" dude that can't do what Paul Pierce and other dudes that y'all say are great can do. You are a disgrace, Shannon Sharp. You buck dancing punk. You let that white boy make you damn near cry. And then you want to come up here and dishonor my name because of my opinion? Because of my opinion. You are a fucking disgrace. Everything about you is fake, nigga. Club Shay Shay, do something for two something. Smoke a black and mild. Shut your bitch ass up, nigga. You don't go to the hood. You don't never go to the hood. A big old angry, emotional 50-year-old motherfucker that try to fight people over his fanboy fantasy LeBron. An angry 50-year-old punk that want to fight people that disagree with LeBron. You know, sports analyst, you a fanboy. You are nothing but a fanboy. Because there was nothing wrong with what I said. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Richard Hamilton, there's a lot of guys that I played with. Hell, even me, I would have got a shot off. You can say whether I made it or not. I'm not just going to run people over to try to get to the basket to get a foul from the ref. And yes, he's a damn flopper. You know the play that I'm talking about, where he flopped all the way out of bounds and knocked the goddamn beer out the person's hand. That's what I said. Fanboy. You want to call somebody emotional because of tone of voice? But you out here trying to fight people and supposed to be banned from the damn Lakers arena. You should have a damn ban for your emotions. But that's a damn shame. You motherfucking fools trying to invalidate a grown man. I said something that
I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear you. You got your microphone off.
Yeah.
There you
Is it better? I don't know how that even happened. But either way, I don't know. We could probably conclude it there. But you can see a lot of vulgarity. But he made some points right there. There were other points he made in the video as well. You know, it was still primarily, and the point that he made that kind of made me change my whole idea of it was he mentioned how every year this guy's supposed to be so great, but we're always looking for more players to help him. He needs more help all the time. Shoot, MJ got his help and he ran with it and won championships with it, 6 of them. Every year, this guy's getting new help in here to help him win another championship.
Yeah, I mean, half the team got traded before the deadline, and they made good trades. Pelinka did a good job, brought in players to help them get better, and they got better. But you know, we're getting on MJ. I just want to tell Scottie Pippen, and excuse my language or don't excuse my language, but Scottie Pippen needs to shut the fuck up and sit down.
Oh, bro, Scottie Pippen, it's like he just got old and just starts saying things, man. I mean, I understand where they're coming from, though, and when you understand the entire scope of what's going down. I mean, if he was already
I understand why, but it stems from The Last Dance, right?
Yeah.
But Scotty, he had his own episode, and he said in his own words, he would do it again. He would sit out again.
Yeah.
And the backlash he received for that, that's on him. If he would have owned up, like, you know what, I probably should have went in there, you know, just owned it instead of doubling down. Oh, yeah. And then he comes out calling Phil Jackson racist and all kind of crap.
Man.
Come on, man.
That's almost like a last resort. The race card is almost like the last resort when you start flailing when nothing else can help you out. You act like Trey from Boys in the Hood swinging at the
Yeah, I mean, if Jordan was so horrible and he helped Jordan get all of his titles, well, how come Barkley doesn't have a title? How come Cedric Ceballos doesn't have a title? You know, the players in Phoenix that didn't have a title.
Kevin Johnson, yeah.
No, I'm throwing off. I'm thinking Barkley. I'm talking, what about the guys in Portland? When they choked against the Lakers, who was on the court? Scottie Pippen.
And Clyde had to leave to come down to Houston to get his championship.
Yeah.
It was Scottie, yes. Yeah, that's true.
So.
But I'm saying the other part of the equation is MJ's son is with Scottie's ex-wife. I mean, come on, I know it shouldn't have anything to do with anything, but if it has to do with emotion, this is as emotional as it could possibly get. And I can see where it's coming from, a dark place. Obviously, he's going to die bitter, apparently. I never thought that he was this bitter before. I thought they were just...
Fortunately, it seems that way. But, I mean, it's Jordan's son. It's not Jordan. You got to put him with Jordan's son, just Jordan's son.
But I can see how Pip can think, even though it may not be true or even close to being true, how he could think that Michael Jordan had something to do, go after Scotty's wife, and he did it. I mean, hey, it could get grimy, man. These stars do things just like us grimy guys in the regular world do things.
That's true.
It could be a possibility.
Maybe he knows something we don't. I don't know. But still, hate the player, not the game.
Yeah, that's true, man. But it's turned out to be a pretty sad story because he's trying to make MJ look bad, and he's looking worse every time he opens his mouth. I never had a bad image of Scottie Pippen throughout his career. I mean, some of the little things that he might have done, but I wasn't a Bulls fan, so I never took it to heart. And, like the Tony Kukoc thing.
He just sounds so foolish now. There's videos of him saying Michael's the greatest, this and that, and now he's saying he's a horrible player. Come on, we all know he's just salty.
Yeah, but that's what I'm thinking is salty over what's going on with his wife, other than, just a basketball. You know what I mean? These guys act like we don't have access to video.
He had his book coming out, last summer?
Yeah.
So, okay, I understand you trying to hype up your book, boost your sales. What's going on now?
Yeah, but it's bitterness. That's it. I still think it has something to do with the son and wife deal. I still think it has something to do with that.
Move on, man.
Not coincidental.
I mean, it is his ex-wife, right?
Ex-wife. Yeah, but you know how it goes, though. It's his ex-wife.
Move on.
I know, right? Of all women out there, though, you end up with the ex-wife.
Move on.
Teammate, man. World famous teammate. I know, move on. But I can see where the bitterness comes from, but it's just making him look bad no matter how you try to rationalize how it might have come, where it came from. It just makes him look bad regardless, and he needs help. He needs help because he's getting old and he's getting bitter in his old age. If
maybe his book didn't sell as well as he thought it would. So now he's trying to
come with a second edition. That's right. It. Get another volume out there. So now, well, we've heard from Kwame Brown a little bit about this Shannon Sharpe deal, and he made some points about LeBron James. We didn't hear the entire video, which is about 30 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube as well. And by the way, let me mention once again, you're listening to the Sports Bag Brothers, the first episode of our podcast. We'll try to do 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday. When we finally do it live, you'll probably get a time period, which would probably be 9 o'clock Eastern time. We'd like to be able to discuss these sports with you. But moving on, we talked about basketball already. We talked about the Denver Nuggets and the Heat a little bit. We talked about the Celtics choking it away, because if they didn't choke it away, the Heat would have been choking it away. So everybody had a part to choke yesterday. But let's talk about something else that happened today. Golden State's GM, Bob Myers, he steps down. And he's not necessarily the architect of the entire team that was a championship team, but he was definitely the cohesion that allowed it to continue, because he did give the contract extensions. He didn't draft Clay, he didn't draft Steph, but he did draft Draymond Green, and he did give these guys extensions and added other parts, Kevin Durant, and they won championships because of it.
I didn't see his press conference. I don't know what his reasons are, but on the surface, to me, it looks weak as hell. They underperformed this year. There's a division between the younger guys and the veterans on the team, and now he might have to reconstruct the team, the roster. And you know what? I'm out. Good luck, guys. It's weak as hell. Weak.
You know what? Yeah, and the deal is they offered him more money. And in his press conference and in his statement, he said it's not about the money. You know what I'm saying? So obviously he's doing what most people do.
About the hard work that he would have to put in to get a championship team.
I mean, you know what? He put in pretty decent hard work to get what he had. I mean, you already had Steph, you already had Thompson, but and bringing in the other guys, he was there for the long haul, and he saw the fruits of his labor. And but he hired Steve Kerr. You know what I mean? So Mark Jackson was there beforehand. So I think he's done a lot for this team. He's shown that he has some value. He just says he just wants to stay still. I think that's exactly what he said. He wants us to stay still. He doesn't want to do anything. Maybe he becomes an analyst somewhere on someone's broadcast. but he just wants to stay still. He's kind of this might be a burnout time, not to mention all of the nonsense that happened inside the locker room this past season, with Draymond Green and Poole. A lot of drama, and I don't think Green is going to be there anyway.
Yeah, but what happened to when the going gets tough, the tough get going?
He's getting going.
It's a tough time right now for the Warriors and, the makeup of the roster when things that need to be done. And instead of trying to stick around and fix it because you've been the man there, you're just going to bounce. And now somebody who comes in doesn't have the same familiarity with everyone, and come on, man. It's not the time to bounce. I mean, if Steph still has at least another 3-4 good years in him, hopefully Clay can get his shot back. I don't know what happened to him. He was dropping bricks left and right against the Lakers. But you would think they still could win the championship, if not just get to the finals, if you put the right people around them. And he doesn't want to try to do that. To me, it would be a challenge. And if you have people saying, you didn't draft Steph and you didn't draft Clay, you know what? Yeah, I didn't. We did this, and now let me do this too. I would ride with Steph and Clay when they retire. Now it's time for me to go. That's just my opinion.
I just think it's still the team is still in pretty good hands. I mean, we have an older Steph Curry. I don't think he's in the twilight of his career. He's definitely not in his prime, but he's still Steph Curry. You know what I mean? Jordan wasn't in his prime. He didn't retire in his prime. Well, the first time at least. He didn't retire in his prime, but he was still getting the job done. You know what I mean? And I think Steph Curry can still do that. And as you mentioned about Thompson, Klay Thompson, he could do the same thing because he's now going to be 3 seasons removed from that knee injury coming back into this year. What happens if he gets his stroke back? I think the only one that we really worry about is Draymond Green. And is Draymond Green really that piece that can't be replaced? I think he can be.
I think so also. I mean, his volatility
at that.
One, he's so volatile, all of his technicals, it's disruption,
Yeah. He's trying to be a modern day Worm. And there's no way, it's not even a comparison. There's no comparison between him and Worm, man. The Worm is just another level. But
I'm a Bulls fan, but I've been a Steph Curry fan for years. So I'm not exactly a Warriors fan, but I want the Warriors to do well because I want Curry to do well.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Warriors fan. But I would think if I was a Warriors fan and they had a bad loss, I wouldn't want to hear Draymond 45 minutes later on his podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what
that's
I'm saying?
what we have today, though. I think today's social media age, especially with these players being as young as they are, and even him being an older of the young players, this is what they do. This is how they communicate, and it's kind of gone to all of the sports, except for hockey. Hockey doesn't do this. I mean, you go to these other sports, basketball, baseball doesn't do it as much, but football and basketball, you got a lot of things being said at some point or another. Even college basketball and college football, something's being said. You know what I mean? That's going to spawn some type of controversy or people looking cockeyed at them because they're not used to hearing that kind of a thing. But
I mean, it just seems like he can't wait to get on the bus and get back to the hotel, get on that podcast. Don't you figure out what happened, what went wrong, what you got to do to fix it before you get on the podcast and start talking about everything?
You know what? I remember years ago when all of this social media was first jumping off. I mean, I knew what Facebook was. I didn't know what Twitter was at that time. And the first time I heard of Twitter was the time that Charlie Villanueva tweeted during halftime. That was the first time I ever heard of it. You know what I mean? He was like, and all he said was like, I got to do better, something like that. And it became like a big story. What is he doing? Not paying attention to coach when he should be listening to coach. And he's on Twitter trying to let people know this and that. And I'm like, what the hell is Twitter? That's how I found out. And now it's on steroids. And everybody does it whenever they can. Their podcasts now, everybody's a star within a star within a star. Everyone's auditioning for their life after basketball while playing basketball, auditioning at halftime of the basketball game.
Yeah, it's crazy. Social media is, I don't know how long it's been out of control, but it's out of control.
Yeah, out of control. And that would seem like a transition, out of control, going from basketball to boxing. This is a sports show, so we're going to talk about a number of sports. In fact, we might even get around to ultimately the Las Vegas Knights taking on the Florida Panthers. Believe it or not, the Florida Panthers are an 8th seed, just like the Miami Heat are an 8th seed, and they're both in the finals. That's craziness. Never would have thought about that. But anyway, Bud Crawford and Errol Spence finally getting together in Las Vegas, July 29th, for all of the straps. If it gets to that point, because this is boxing, if it finally gets to that point where we can see these guys across the ring from one another, what are the early results we can give right now, or the early prognostications we can talk about right now up until the real drama starts with the all access and everything that leads to the big fight in July?
I'm not sure I can give one. It's 50-50.
That's it.
You know, Bud's a little bit older now. He's been inactive for a while. Spence had the accident, you know.
Plural, accidents.
Yeah.
This guy.
Who's good? I forgot about the second one. It just wasn't as bad, you know, injury-wise. So we don't know what either guy's going to look like coming into the ring, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I do believe that Bud is one of the best, if not the best, at making in-fight adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
So I would give him the edge, but I give Spence the power edge.
Yep.
I believe he's got a better chin, you know, just being the naturally bigger man. But Bud is a sharp puncher, and Spence has been hurt before by other fighters. So, I mean, I can't call it right now.
Yeah, and by the way, Spence hasn't faced a whole lot of southpaws in his career, and we know Bud can do them both. He can go to southpaw, he can fight orthodox, and he's even better at southpaw, even though he's a natural right-handed fighter. Right. And, you know, when he gets a southpaw, because I think against Kell Brook, he was getting out jabbed for a while until he just switched up. The jab disappeared, and he just did his thing. He's one of those guys who transitions offensively and defensively in southpaw and orthodox just as well as Marvin Hagler. And if you saw Marvin Hagler in his heyday, not the Sugar Ray Leonard fight, but even you didn't get to see a lot of that in the Hearns fight either, the biggest fight they had. I mean, other fights that he's had in the past, even that Roberto Duran fight, which was closer than it should have been, two legends just going at it. But you get to see the transition that he makes from orthodox to southpaw. It's just such a seamless transition. And that's what Bud has been doing a lot of his entire career, a lot of the time since he's been in the limelight, and no one can decipher it. And I know people like to talk about he got knocked down by this guy or he got hurt by that guy. It's boxing, man. People are going to get knocked down. No one's singing the praises of Sonny Banks for knocking down old Cassius Clay. You know what I mean? No one still knows who this guy is. And Muhammad Ali will live on forever. It happens in boxing. It's a contact sport. It's a brutal collision sport. And those things are going to happen. But as far as I'm surprised more that as many people are picking Bud. I'm picking Bud, but I thought it would be like we say it's a 50-50 fight. I was expecting to hear 50-50 Errol Spence, 50% Bud, and it's not like that so far.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm going through YouTube, I see videos, this guy's picking Bud, this guy's picking Bud. I'm like, really? Wow. I think it's 50-50. But one thing I would like to mention is when the fight wasn't made, however, 6 months ago or whatever, you know, there's a lot of talk, oh, Bud this, Bud that, he don't want the fight. Now what you got to say, motherfuckers?
Yeah, because Bud is serious. Bud is a nasty dude in the ring. He's one of these guys, you can look at his eyes. You can see when guys are faking it. You can see when guys are trying to intimidate. Bud is that guy. If there's ever been that guy, him and Inoue, if it ever has been that guy in the ring, this guy is it. When he tells you something, he's looking to do exactly what he told you.
I mean, he may not win the fight, but I'm saying people trying to say he's ducking Spence and ducking this. Come on, man. And like, if you can't see that PBC is trying to stack the deck against Bud, then you're just not paying attention, or you don't want to pay attention.
You know what? These are professional fighters on the highest level. I hate people who, especially guys who have never been boxers or people who haven't been in any combat sport. You can't respect the guy enough to know that this guy chose his profession, but he probably could have done something else, even if it was just truck driver or garbage man. He chose to become a boxer. These guys aren't afraid of one another. It's a lot of times the promoters preventing things from happening, the managers preventing things from happening. Yes, the fighter is ultimately the ultimate arbiter of all of this, but he's leaving it up to a lot of these promoters and managers to maximize his earnings because boxing is a dangerous sport. And so they're going to trust him to do the right thing for them. I think Bud just got tired and said, let's get it done. And he's done it. And now these guys are going to get together. They can say what they want all the way up until that bell rings. And ultimately, we'll get some receipts when that bell rings. But we have a lot more to talk about with that.
Let the pre-hype fight talk begin.
Huh?
Let the pre-fight hype talk begin.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I already heard Bub's little hype video he made, like a little 30-second hype video. Like, let's fry his ass. Yo, bro, he ready to get at it. But Errol Spence, I mean, come on. And it's even hard to believe that you can speak that way about Errol Spence because this dude's a dog, too. He's just a quiet dog. It's not that Bud talks a lot. He just does a lot. And Errol Spence is just methodical and powerful.
I was really impressed with his fight against Ugas. He just came, he's like, I'm going to get in your ass and let's see what you can do about it. But he can't fight Bud like that.
No, he can't because Bud won't stand there and let him do it.
Yeah. He'll have problems if he tries to just bully Bud.
And I've been listening to some of the boxing analysts and a lot of the boxing veterans who've been trying to analyze this fight as well. And they were talking about how Errol Spence is he's not necessarily one-dimensional, but he's one speed. You know what I mean? He just comes, he throws a lot of punches, and he throws them hard, and he's in condition enough to do it for as long as he can do it. But Bud has so many facets to his game, so much nuance to his game. In addition to the switcher from southpaw to orthodox, we're talking about the levels that he uses, the traps that he sets, the moving around that he does. You never really saw it. I think Antonio Tarver brought it up. You never saw Errol Spence just back up and decide, you know what, let me just box. Let me just box this dude. He just comes after you, seek and destroy, which is not a problem when you fight people who are standing there and people that you can overpower. Because let's not forget, he fought as an amateur at 152, and he's been 147 forever now, his entire career. Bud's moved up, and he's fought different levels of guys. You know, resume-wise, it may not look like a bunch, but what he had to do and the skill set he had to master to beat those little guys is what he brings to the table. And he's still knocking guys out at 147, all of them.
I mean, that's the thing. If Bud was a natural 147-pounder, then I would definitely give him the edge.
Oh,
but seeing that he's coming up from 130, 135 or wherever, you know, Spence just being bigger gives me a little bit of pause.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Because Spence has more to him. And I think, and right now it's an even money fight as we speak on this day. I think it's a 112 minus 112 even fight. And I think that's going to move, going by the people who were talking about what's going on and these experts saying that they're picking Bud. And these other people who are going to do the betting outside of the sharp people, they're going to probably listen to these guys, and that money's going to start going over to Bud, where I thought it'll all start going to Spence, or at least a lot of it, to where it would favor him, maybe not by a lot, but favor him nonetheless. That doesn't seem to be the issue right now. I think I still pick Bud. And, you know, when people are talking about a late knockout, and I know Bud can break you down and could possibly knock you out, I think Spence is a dog too. This boy, if he's going to take a beating, or if he's going to take, you know, fire and brimstone like he did against Kell Brook while he was a young guy overseas, overcoming being down and still winning the fight, you know, I can see him just losing a 12-round decision. It could be one-sided or even a split decision. But speaking of one-sided or split decision, after what happened with Vasily Lomachenko and Devin Haney, do you have trust in these judges now? I mean, I'm almost hoping it doesn't go to the cards and someone gets screwed royally, man. These are two undefeated guys. We don't need that happening.
Right. Well, the thing about Haney and Lomachenko, it was a close fight. It could have gone either way.
Yeah.
When you look at the scorecards, how anybody could give Haney the 10th round,
no way,
preposterous. And there's no way either fighter won 8 rounds.
No.
So there's no way there should have been a 116 to 112 score. So, yeah, we have to be concerned about who's judging the fights.
It's too close. It was too close to fight to be a robbery. I know people love using robbery when it comes to boxing. But if I had a gun to my head and had to pick a guy that should have won the fight, it would have been Loma. It would have been Loma, man. If they said win or lose, who do you pick? It would have been Loma.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what
I mean, most of the rounds 1 through 9 were there. A lot of them were difficult to score. So
they're very difficult to score. But then Loma always did something. He always did something that just stood out for that round, though. And I think it goes back because I was listening to Chris Algieri's analysis as he was going on, and he was saying, he was like, you know what? He doesn't like when guys come in wearing these elaborate hairstyles because even the lightest punch makes that head snap, and it makes it seem like there's more to it than what's there. And that makes a whole lot of sense. Get a haircut, man. So when you get tapped in the chin, your hair isn't puffing out like that. The judge is like, oh man, that's a good shot. When it wasn't. A jab is popping your head like it was a straight left.
Has he been let out the cage yet?
Who?
Algieri.
Bro, bro, he's a little tame now. He doesn't need a cage anymore.
I'm just saying. I mean, I definitely, if you ask me who won, I say Loma won. Yeah. But it could have gone either way.
Exactly. I don't think it was bad to be. I don't think it's a fight.
It wasn't a robbery. It was not a robbery. But what's disappointing is to hear the Haneys, Mr. Haney and Devin talk about it wasn't a good fight. There's no rematch.
It wasn't good because they didn't get their result the way they wanted it. They got their result, but they didn't get it.
It reminded me of De La Hoya talking to Larry Merchant after the Whitaker fight. I don't think it was a great fight, Larry. Did you think it was a great fight? Nah, no rematch. No rematch. Come on, man. We all know why there was no rematch.
Man. Old Pernell Whitaker.
Couldn't hit him. I mean, the Haneys are just talking crazy. My thing is, if I was Haney, and I think I asked you this, do you think he feels like Apollo Creed after beating Rocky the first time?
I won, but I didn't beat him.
I won, but I didn't beat him, right? Apollo Creed wanted the rematch to prove he could whip his ass. Yeah. Haney's the opposite. I won on the bigger, better things. But you didn't beat him. You won, but you didn't beat him.
And as much as people like to crap on Floyd, when Floyd had a close fight, he would say whatever he said during the post-fight. Oh, yeah, I beat this guy. You know, it wasn't as easy a fight. It wasn't an easy fight, but I still won. He still gave those guys rematches. He gave Maidana the rematch. He gave Castillo the rematch because those are the two guys who came closest to doing something that wasn't as normal as it seemed when Floyd was fighting. He gave those guys opportunity.
He did retire for a year and a day to allow the De La Hoya rematch clause to expire.
That fight there, man, I don't know.
I mean,
what changes in the rematch? I'm asking.
He beat De La Hoya, hands down.
Yeah, but what changes in the rematch? Because
I don't know. I'm just saying, De La Hoya had a rematch clause.
Yeah, he did.
I'm gonna retire. Oh, rematch clause expired. Oh, I'm back. I'm just saying.
Boxing. Come on, it's boxing. I mean, De La Hoya stopped jabbing. If he would have kept on jabbing, he would have won the fight.
He stopped jabbing.
The reason why he stopped because of the overhand counter right.
Yeah, because Floyd made him stop jabbing.
Exactly. He didn't just say this is not a good idea anymore. No, it wasn't good for his health to continue getting caught with the right hands. And so he decided to hang it up from there. And so to that end, we will move on to our final discussion of the night. A small discussion. We got just a couple of seconds left. I got something flying around up here. Come on now. It's like spoiled food. Shohei Ohtani from the Los Angeles Angels, well, the Anaheim Angels. And
I can straight myself.
Great player, he's a great player in the short term right now, but doing what he's doing because he's doing what no one else is doing right now because that's just not the nature of baseball that we had. You know, Babe Ruth did a lot of what he did way back when baseball was in its infancy. But what he's doing right now is, you know, at least what he's done since he's been in the league, the major leagues, has been phenomenal. But what parallel does he match against other greats who either have done that or just greats in general?
I actually think as far as doing both pitching and playing the field, he surpassed Babe Ruth. I'm not saying he's greater than Babe Ruth over his entire career, but in that aspect of being a pitcher and a field, playing the field.
Because Babe Ruth did play the field, he did pitch, and he got home runs, and he hit more home runs than teams and all that other stuff. But baseball was still in its infancy.
He didn't have the speed like Ohtani, man. That
I know you see that old video. He looks pretty fast.
The legs are moving, but I mean, but you know, Ohtani's just a special guy, man.
Yes.
What he did in the World Baseball Classic, you know what? Put me on the mound in the ninth. I'll take us home. He just dominated everybody, man.
He's leading the league right now with 90 strikeouts, man.
It's too bad. He's on the West Coast. You know, a lot of America, we're not up at that time when the Angels are playing.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think he's going to re-sign with the Angels. I think he's going to move on. You know, maybe the Yankees. someone on the East Coast, the Boston. Look, the AL East is like the best division in all of baseball right now. Every team is over 500. I mean, from top to bottom.
I think
All that money.
last I looked, the last place team in the East would be the first place team in the Central.
That's what I'm saying. So it's just ridiculous over. And then the Rays playing the way they're playing, and the freaking Rangers, Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
And then the Houston Astros had a slow start, but they're starting to show Houston Astros-esque kind of things out there as well.
What happened to the A's, man? No money ball.
What about the Mariners? I thought they were going to do a little bit more this year too.
I don't know, but the A's are like historically bad.
Yeah, they are. Moneyball. Shoot, no money. Everybody's trying to get out of Oakland, man.
Broke.
I'm serious.
Go to jail. Did not collect $200.
I tell you, man. With Ohtani, man, he's got the MVP already. He had an argument last year, but Aaron Judge just had another one of those life-changing AL seasons. 62 home runs, and it's very hard to overcome that. But yeah, being a pitcher, playing the field, and now he's playing DH a lot this season. I wonder if he's starting to show a few kinks in the armor. Have some teams finally caught up to him, because he's leading the league right now at this moment as we speak with wild pitches and hit by pitches. He's kind of falling off a little bit, but he does have the strikeouts. The ERA, the whip, and all that is. And you can't just look at ERA and whip and just decide if a pitcher's good. You got to watch and see how he's getting out and who he's getting out. He might just strike out every lefty ever, but can't get rid of righties. You know what I mean? It could be one of those things.
I mean, and the season's still fairly early. I mean, we're still in May. He can go on a stretch where he wins 10 straight games or whatever.
He could, and then bats up and acts a fool there. You know what I mean? And yeah, we're going to actually earn our take if we continue to do this show over and over and over for the days we plan on doing it. We're going to have to earn our take, because after basketball, they call that like the black hole of sports talk, because there's no basketball, there's no hockey, and baseball is just getting to the All-Star break, and nothing really happens till after that. So you're going to have to just make up things. Luckily, we have good boxing matches that we'll be able to just ride the wave on, and hopefully they are good boxing matches, and hopefully they aren't bad decisions, which have happened in boxing. But now we're almost at the hour mark, and I think we have hit our mark in terms of the first episode of the Sports Bag Bros podcast, the first episode. So hope that you enjoyed it. We'll have it on, I believe, Spotify when we finally upload it, but it is on YouTube. So make sure if you're going to come to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. More importantly, give us the thumbs up so that the algorithm can get this out to more people, because I think that we have a plethora of sports to talk about. I mean, whatever it is you want to do. And when we go live, you'll be able to join the conversation just as well. So, Bias, any parting words before we pull the plug on this first episode?
It's always a blast coming down here talking sports. I love it. Just want to tell anybody that watches this video, you can find us on Facebook also, Sports Bag Brothers.
Oh, yeah, Sports Bag Brothers on Facebook. So it's going to be everywhere.
Support and promote this podcast. So, we're always looking, we're posting content, looking for followers, and, like to interact with people.
Exactly. And we're going to try to do some interviews with certain people or different people throughout the time that we're going to do this as well. We're going to have the boxing people on. We're going to have the college football people on, people that know what they're talking about, not just our opinion of what college football should be or where it's at. We're talking about people who cover certain areas of college football, who do it for a living and have done it for decades. We'll have those people on. We'll try to have more boxing people on. We'll try to have baseball people on, NFL people on. That's the plan moving forward. And we want you to be along for the ride. For Trav and Bias, the Sports Bag Bros podcast is signing off. We hope we get to see you again next time. Peace.